ET, turtle.
It took 3.
That's a cool turtle. Where'd you get that?
I do not remember.
My fiance's
What
a
does it say?
dive instructor.
Okay, ready to go?
And now, the most trusted name in radio, serving the Treasure Coast for over 30 years, Brett Palmer, the mayor of the airways.
In the end, it's a new day if you want it to be. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is Brett Palmer. In the studio today, I have a man who I met in southern Florida, and your name is?
Sam Brinkley.
Sam Brinkley. Any related to David Brinkley?
I wish. If I had have their money, I probably wouldn't be here.
Remember that they were the NBC guys?
Oh, yeah.
Chet and David, right?
I remember Christy Brinkley.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah,
later
my
on.
fiance's name is Christy, so when we get married, it's going to be Christy Brinkley.
Oh, how do you like that? Yeah. She's still looking good, too, in her
Yeah,
65.
yeah.
So anyway, welcome to the broadcast. Now, you come from North Carolina.
Originally Asheville, yep.
Asheville, yeah. Boy, they got really decimated.
Yeah.
Were you up there? Did you return after the floods?
I've been back to see the damage and stuff, but I mean, I had a lot of the fire brothers because I was a firefighter up there, and had a lot of people telling me how bad it was. I mean, it got really bad because the French Broad and the Swananoa River, they flooded 3 feet, and it was 33 feet. That's how bad the water was over the rivers. So it literally decimated and took out complete towns and took out complete mountain ways because one road in, one road out. So when that road's gone, everybody's cut off. So.
What's the name of that little town where you can get the cider and the
Talking about Chimney Rock, Lake Lure?
Chimney Rock. No, they got hit bad, right?
They got wiped off the planet. I mean, they really did everything that
Grandfather Mountain?
Grandfather Mountain is further north, but this was Chimney Rock is where the big claim to fame there. It's the big rock. But it literally cleaned the entire town out and wiped it down into Lake Lure Lake. And so
How do you have a flood on top of mountains?
Well, because the mountains are 2,000 and 3,000 feet up. Okay, so you got to remember you're surrounded by mountains, and all these little towns are in the valleys of these mountains. So when the water rushes down off all those mountains, they come down immediately, and then all that water comes together and goes through the valley and just cuts through the valley and takes everything out.
Now you were brought up in the mountains of the Carolinas.
Yeah, a little town called Candler on the other side of Asheville.
Yeah,
my mom worked in downtown Asheville at First Union Bank back in the day. Yeah. So that's long gone. Wachovia took it over, and then somebody took over. I think Wells took over Wachovia. So, but that was back in small town USA in Asheville. So, pretty nice growing up
where
there.
They still have good manners.
Yeah, and it's a good old Bible, Southern Baptist church environment. You're there Sundays and Sunday evenings. You're there on Wednesdays for RAs and GAs. And
well, here's my theory. The only real royalty we have is Jesus. This man-made royalty of all these kings and queens that are blue bloods, and the reason they're blue bloods is because they mix the same blood and the blood turns blue. So it's really not a good thing to be a blue blood. But the only royalty we really have is Jesus. So I said, why in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee? Pretty much until the Yankees come down and take over. But you know what a damn Yankee is.
Oh, yeah. Well, the halfbacks is what we call them. They go up and come halfway back and want to live in North Carolina.
My theory is that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's going to be royalty. And that's why there's, it's an amazing place to go for the good manners. I hope it doesn't change. But I think where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's real royalty. And that's why you have that consideration, good manners prevail. Because it's so diametrically opposed to each other. Now in Texas, they have good manners. My family had a place down in Texas, and they were very mannerly, very considerate there too. But what do you think about my theory about maybe that's the Spirit of the Lord?
I agree with you though, because like I said, those people are God-fearing people, and they love the Lord, and in all honesty, they do anything they can to help each other. They're not worried about themselves. They're worried about doing for others, as God says, reach out and take care of other people if you can. Matter of fact, on my mom's deathbed, she died from cancer in North Carolina in Asheville. Her last words were, always do for others.
Yeah.
Don't worry about yourself because that'll come. He'll take care of you, but always try to help out and do some for somebody else.
Well, there's a law of reciprocity too. If you do for others, it seems to come back.
Mhm.
Integrity seems to work. I don't know why, but the people that I've met throughout my life that are really successful, a lot of them have I don't know if it's an inborn, inbred, whatever it is, integrity. And as the Bible says, bad money, ill-gotten gain grows wings and takes flight.
Yeah.
Now, so your mom was a dedicated Christian.
Oh yeah.
Is she now? When did you get born again?
I think I was born again. I think when I was 11 at Hominy Baptist Church, and then I got baptized at 12.
And so you remember that because people
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. Oh yeah. I remember. So we have the Baptist, the water in the back behind the preacher, and they'd open up the walls, and we go. You step down into it, and we do the baptisms and stuff.
What motivated you as a young boy to go forward?
It was Vacation Bible School, actually.
Oh.
Believe it or not, because every summer, you always go to Vacation Bible School, or we'd have the Bunker Baptist Association choir retreat and things of that nature. So we'd go and do that. But it was that's when I got my calling was at Vacation Bible School. I remember.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's hear about your life. You're very enthusiastic. Now, what do you do for a living down here in Florida?
I actually sell copiers and work for a company called Source One Solutions. We do sharp copiers. We do displays. We do printers. A lot of our clients are big churches, hospitals, places like that. But
Pretty wild, innovative equipment. So it's not just copiers. Because when I saw you give a speech, do you sell that TV
display
that was
boards
behind you?
Yeah, we do the education boards and the display boards, and of course all these high-end projectors you see at church behind you. That's 100 by 100 square foot when preacher's talking, and you see the videos running behind him. That's the kind of projectors and stuff we do as well. So
yeah, they have a Baptist church out west of town here recently. I was talking to the pastor. They have this. This huge. It's bigger than the screen you see at an outside movie theater from when we were kids.
Yeah.
It's as big as that in the church, but it's really nice. You don't have a hard time seeing the words to the song.
No, absolutely. And then of course we have scoreboards for high schools and stuff. So now what they're doing is they're putting the digital scoreboards in, and they're selling advertisements. So when the parents come to watch the games, now these local companies can advertise. Scoreboards keep score, and then it continually runs their advertisements.
I wish I had a place to put one of those. I could put my advertisements up there.
Can I tell you what? It's a moneymaker for the schools because they can make up to $3,000 or $4,000 a month just having it there.
Yeah, and that helps pay for.
Well, it pays for it, and that's after it's paid for.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but I enjoy doing that, and I enjoy taking care of people because Source One's been on 41 years somewhere on the Treasure Coast, and I love companies that support people and take care of customers.
Well, your CEO seemed like a humble guy. I met him briefly.
Yeah, Greg's good people.
Soft-spoken, nice guy, and yeah.
Says what he means and means what he says, and he'll get it done for you. And everybody's going to have a problem. That's what I tell everybody. We're all going to have problems, but how fast you make that problem go away is what makes you.
Well, isn't a problem? Speaking of that, it took me years to learn that when you have a customer or a client that has a problem, and then you can rectify it. Suddenly, people want to run from it, but what did the Greeks say? There's for every bad thing that happens to you, there's an equivalent blessing. And somebody has a problem, they complain to you. You say, "Well, wait a second, Mrs. McGillicuddy, we're going to take care of that." All of a sudden, you fix that up, make it better. Now she goes, "Oh wow, you guys are great. I'm going to tell everybody about it."
That's how you build your loyalty.
So it's an opportunity. If you don't have any problems, you're not going to have that opportunity.
Of course. But anybody tells you they don't have problems, then you got to question.
It's like a server getting irritated that you want the ketchup, then you want the mustard. Hey, take it as you want a tip. The more you come back and forth, the better your tip's going to be. You're taking care of them. Well, you took good care of us, So anyway,
word gets out because it takes years to gain a customer, but seconds to lose one. You can do a ton of good things.
Oh yeah.
But you do one thing wrong, and it erases everything.
I had an air conditioning guy sponsoring my show years ago, and all of a sudden the father didn't like. Well, I was in a restaurant, and his father walked by me, and I didn't say hi, but I never saw him. And when you've interviewed over it's about 45,000 people now, according to a detective. I can't remember everybody's face and name.
Lord, no.
And I love people, but I would not ignore, particularly a guy who spends thousands of dollars a month advertising. But people get they get offended very easily, and that's what happens.
Nowadays more than ever, especially with media and everything that's going on, and it takes it out of context because you text something when you hit that send button, you better remember it's never coming back. It's out there forever.
Yeah, well, what was that story you were telling me recently about somebody who says a happy wife, a happy life? And then this lady in charge of an organization up in Sebastian goes, she stops the whole proceedings and says, wait a second, a happy spouse is a happy house. Oh, brother, I tell you what.
And he's a good old country boy too, salt of the earth guy. I got 2 kids, a good wife, and He's been in South Florida for a long time. He goes, "What was that about?" And I said, "Brother, I don't know what to tell you." I said, "This is just a different age now, and it's a different time."
Did you think you'd live to see in the Bible? I remember it says in the end times they will be lovers of selves. And I remember maybe 20, I've been on the air now 31 years. I remember thinking, well, maybe that'll happen when I'm in my mid 80s, late 80s. I'll see this happen. But about 15 years ago, 16 years ago now, all of a sudden I realized, ooh, this lover of selves has come to pass. And everybody's driving around miserable, trying to get around the next guy, flying around, when it's much more fun in traffic to let somebody out. It's fun to be nice to people, and they wave hello, thank you, and then if you look at them down the line, they're nice to somebody
Nowadays,
else.
they don't wave hello. You know what I'm saying? In Port St. Lucie, just in the last 3 weeks, we've had 4 rollovers. How do you have rollover car accidents in a 45-mile-an-hour zone in the entire city of Port St. Lucie? I don't know. People going 70, 80 miles an hour, cutting each other off. But I mean,
Crazy.
rollover accidents, and I'm like, how is that possible? 35, 45 miles an hour. You got plenty of time to stop. How do you roll over a car? But it did it.
Everybody's in a
3
frenetic
in
pace.
one day.
Everybody's in a frenetic pace, going with it, and they don't even know where they're running to. Somehow they think they're getting ahead by rushing it.
Yeah.
And but anyway, let's talk about you. So you came to know the Lord when you were 11. Now, did you stay true and faithful, or what did you?
No, I had ups and downs throughout my whole life, but
we'd like to hear about those so people can relate to them. You know,
the thing about it is, as you go through life, you know, you do your best to stay with everything and all that, and stay walking with the Lord and walking the right line. But you know, then I got into gospel group singing and stuff, and then we got away from what the purpose was for singing. So it became more about, you know, us and publicity, and you know, it got away from what the true meaning was. You know, so when you think about that kind of stuff, it just kind of, okay, you get disheartened, get disenchanted with it, or whatever. And so,
well, don't you think that showbiz has entered our churches?
It has, and I think in some cases it makes it almost you get so big that you don't have that feeling of being able to, like, I can, in my church, I could go talk to pastor anytime I want to.
Yeah.
Head pastor. I didn't have to go to 17 pastors away from head pastor.
Yeah.
And nowadays, you know, it's just so massive. And I understand, you know, the size of the crowds, and it's great you have a big church and a good ministry. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking that. It just seems like you're caught, you know, you're further and further away, and you're just part of the crowd.
But didn't God admonish David he said, don't count the number of horses?
Right.
You know, and with Gideon, he kept knocking out the numbers because he wants the credit. Israel, there's 1.5 billion Muslims in the world. There's 1.7 billion Christians, and there's only 14 million Jews. Yet it's the Jews that God chose to train up the scribes that would wash their hands 3 times every time they made an entry. When I was a boy, I didn't realize when they say, this one begat Matthew, begat this one, and begat that one, and begat, what's all this begat stuff? For years, I wondered what that was. I didn't come to know the Lord until I was 29. And then you realize that it was promised that through the King David, through his lineage, and now it's irrefutable because of these people who kept a history. We know that both Mary and Joseph's lineage come from the house of David.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, nice.
Well, and once again, don't take it wrong. I'm not knocking the big churches by any means, because I have lots of people that I know, and that's their thing. It's just not my thing. My thing is I like to be able to connect with people. And
I'm not sure. I think we're coming into a new age, maybe learning. I'm not sure about it all. It's nice, but you know, it's, you know, the Lord told me in the past few years. I was with a famous politician up north, and at the end of a July 4th parade, and this guy comes running up to him. This young man, maybe about 30, runs up to this famous guy with his hand extended. Well, the politician, the senator, shook his hand, but looked over his shoulder to see who was more important for him to be talking to. And I watched the whole thing go down. And it really made me, I was dissuaded about this senator now and will be forevermore. He's that liberal guy up there in Vermont, you know, the one who ran for president.
The name that shall not be mentioned.
Yeah. And so I learned that, and the Lord has taught me there's no such thing as 1 million. There's only 1 million ones. And, you know, if God puts a person in front of you who's hungry, then feed that one person. You know, I agree. You know, so
hardly. But as I went
through,
I graduated high school.
Yeah, you graduated high school.
And I was lifting weights, long hair.
Yeah.
I was a bouncer at several bars. Oh, yeah.
Well, you're a big man. He's a big, you can't be, you see him on the visual here, you can see, but he's like, how tall are you? Like, what, 6'5"? Or?
Well, 6'2". But
you look like you're
I wrestled 185 in high school.
Wow.
So, but I'm about 250, 260. So I'm a big feller. And so out of high school, a guy said, "You want to sell copiers?" I said, what's a copier?
Back then?
Yeah, yeah. And I've been doing this since I was 17 or 18, actually.
Oh my word!
And he said, I tell you what, before you start selling copiers, I do home shows for the Asheville Mall. So we've never sold the show out because, not many people want to come to the mall, set up a booth for a home show or whatever. But here's some information. Let's see what you do. Go knock on some doors and see what you find out. Well, I went out there, and I guess just because of, I got a gift for gab and people talk to me and this and that, I came back with shoeboxes full of money, cash. People going to the home show. I sold the whole home show out. He said, how in the world with long hair and looking like a bouncer
Well, if
did
you like
sell
people,
it out?
like you back, and you like people apparently.
And and in small town, everybody knows you. But so I sold the whole show out, and after that, he says,
Oh my word!
we're starting. Toshiba McRae Graphics is starting a copier company. Actually, they had it already in Greensboro and Charlotte, but they wanted to open up in Asheville. And he said, would you like to come and sell copiers? I said, okay. So I cut my hair and freaked my mom and dad out because they, like all of a sudden I got a suit on. He bought me a suit. And I cut my hair, business
Is
cut.
this the same guy you're with now?
No. He was my ex brother-in-law many years ago, which that was a whole nother story. But within 4 years, I moved up to number one in the company. All I did every day was go do 20 cold calls and a demo. But I had an Aerostar van. I had one copier in the side, two copiers in the back on gurneys, and I would go out in Western North Carolina, out probably an hour away from Asheville west. And I'd knock on doors, say hello, and then I'd say, hey, you want to see a copy? And they'd say, sure. And so I'd pull the copier out, take it in the church or the business and show it how to use it, and they'd sign it on the spot. So I'd sign it up and come back, and I'd sell, 3 or 4 every week. And so that's what gave me my success.
Well, then has your whole life gone pretty smooth because of that? Or
Copier business has been really good. I was with Icon. I was a digital
what about
marketing
your
specialist.
personal life?
I've been married twice.
Yeah.
One was a South African woman that I met in Atlanta for 14 years. And then I married a girl I went to school with for 10 years. And so she's actually down in Florida. She actually lives, I guess, out in Okeechobee now. But that didn't, I guess, work out so much. But
Have you done any missionary work? Or tell us about your life.
Well, only like in like high school and church stuff like that. Is the only stuff that we actually did, any extra stuff. But I've been a part of the American Legion. I was a past commander for the Sons of the American Legion up in Post 77 in Hendersonville for 3 or 4 years.
Hendersonville.
Yep. And then I was the judge advocate for the state of North Carolina.
Let's hold on. Tacos and beer. What's the name of the place?
What's that?
Tacos and beer.
Are you talking about in Hendersonville?
Henderson. Always
Yeah.
stop in there for it's either tacos and beer or something like that.
Yeah. Though there's Hot Dog World. There's
It's a
Papa's
Mexican-
Papa's
Papa's and
and
beer.
Yeah.
That's
Papa's and
the
beer.
place.
Yeah.
I probably some of the best Mexican
It
cuisine
is
I've ever
good
had.
stuff,
Go out of
yeah.
my way, hours driving down 95. Let's go over to Hendersonville.
Yeah, because I mean that and between that and Hot Dog World's an old hot dog place. Has been there for years and years and years.
Yeah, now that
And-
I didn't know about.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But I mean, the small time diners and stuff like Pop's Diner, at the 5-star right there in front of the VFW, just little dives like that are just the best food. You find
That's
them in the middle of
quality
small
living.
town. Yeah, it is. And
The Varsity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know your way around a little bit.
Well,
The Woodroom
I have a proclivity for food.
Woodroom Grill is pretty good. So, but I mean, there's a lot of places up there. But that being said, I was the judge advocate for the state of North Carolina.
For what?
American Legion.
Oh,
Yeah, served as an
what does that
officer for
mean?
them.
So-
That just means that if there's problems in how the state of any of the different locations or different posts, they had a problem, it came to the judge advocate to make a call on it, and then they would send it back down or whatever. But honestly, it's just something. I guess a lot of people don't want to volunteer; they don't want to put their time in, and the people that are willing to do it, get to go and do it. So, but then I became
does
a
your
legion.
energy ever go down?
No, actually, people complain all the time because I'm always,
Oh, that's a good thing.
why sometimes it is, but sometimes it's overwhelming. Like my
Oh.
fiance would be the first to tell you, you're overwhelming sometimes. And my
Oh, I've
mom,
been told that.
my
Pull
mom
it back
always
a little
said,
bit,
hey,
yeah.
if you're going to marry this guy, you better hold on because, it's going to be a wild ride. And, but I mean, I think of it as a good thing because to me, you meet people and you either leave them better for knowing you or worse for knowing you. And then, I tell everybody, attitude's contagious is yours worth catching.
Yes, it is.
Because everybody's always so sad, stressed, and everything else. If there's a chance for you to take and turn it around and make them feel better or make them think, that everything's going to be all right. You're going to be okay.
So do you witness for Jesus? I mean, this is what I thought about you when I met you, that you were
I
sort of
have,
on
and I
fire
do
for the
talk.
Lord.
I do talk to people about what he's done in my life, and then of course now there's a whole nother story. I was a firefighter as well for about 4 years in Greenville and Green River.
Volunteer or?
Volunteer. Yeah.
Oh, my word.
And then I had a stroke.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a stroke, and
Yeah, you seem completely normal.
well, I went down when I was 50 years old, and I went down to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And when I hit the ground, I knew I was having a stroke because I've been, of course, been fire response and all that stuff. So I knew I was stroking.
Fireman,
so I said, call the fire department as soon as you can. So they got me. I couldn't move, talk, do anything. I could only hear what everything was going on. So they got me over to the hospital. I was in intensive care, I think, probably for a week. And then they moved me down to the hospital.
Did they give you the new stuff that they have?
They were going to, but we were down to the final time of being able to make the decision to do it or not, because if it didn't work, it would do more damage.
No.
And they thought, because the doctors kept saying I had vertigo. Always got vertigo. Vertigo doesn't make you pass out and hit the ground, and not have any motor functions. So finally, a neurosurgeon came in, and she said, "Okay, we found it through the MRI. I had a blowout in my cerebellum back here in the back of my brain, and it was a full blown stroke. So I had to learn how to talk again, walk again. Everything was gone. It erased it.
What was that like?
That's probably one of the toughest times. That's one of the toughest times
Especially
I had to really call.
Because you have a proclivity for loquaciousness, as they say. You like to talk.
Well, and I think that's when the Lord really, really played a hard part in my life, keeping me going, because there's nothing worse than being 50 years old and not being able to go to the bathroom by yourself, or be in a wheelchair. And you're rolling up because they take you to Care Partners, and I was in Care Partners for a year and a half to learn how to do it.
Quite humbling, huh?
It takes you to the bottom core of who you are. It makes you wonder and second guess yourself, but then you draw from the strength that you have from God. But when you walk up, they roll you up to a class, and for your next session, and there's 6 guys there that are 70 and 80 years old that have had strokes, and you're sitting there like, what am I doing here? Why? What's my purpose? Why do you keep me around? Why do you just let me go? But the surgeon or the neurosurgeon said, you're going to come back as much as you want to. You had a unique stroke where it allows you to be able to recuperate if you want to. You won't fully recuperate because you'll always have stroke fatigue and certain things that happen.
Fatigue.
That is, when you do any kind of physical work, i.e., working out, lifting stuff, lifting hay bales, whatever it is, your body tends to exacerbate probably 3 or 4 more times than a regular person's would. So you fatigue much quicker, much faster, because your body cannot regulate the amount of
you wouldn't know
stress
by
and pressure
talking
on
to
it.
you.
Yeah, I know. Well, people say you can walk and talk, but I still can't write. I mean, I can sign my name, but my handwriting looks like a third grader.
Shucks.
So, and I can't run. My body,
cannot run.
my mind will not tell my body what to do. I can walk at a fast pace, but when I try to run, my brain can't tell my legs how to do it.
So you fall, or what happened?
I just fall. Yeah, it says nope, you're not going to do that. So I've learned the limitations.
You seem to be a very up personality, very positive thinker, and maybe that's why you're doing well.
Well, and I think a lot of it has to do is you want to let people know, look, I don't care what story you got, somebody's got harder and tougher, and that's what people don't realize is that, they sit and talk about, hey, my story. I mean, like I was adopted when I was 6, there were 7 of us. So I was adopted when I was 6, went through
they
5
didn't
years.
adopt all 7 of you.
Oh, no, you can't take 7 kids
They
in North
separate.
Carolina. But back then, you were a check. So if you were in the house, you got a check from the state.
Oh.
So you weren't a kid. They just bring kids in so they can get money for the money, because they didn't ever inspect them or any of that stuff. So the houses weren't, to say the least, weren't very good. So I was in 20-something foster homes before I got adopted.
20-something foster homes.
Well, but some of it was because I was we took apart a toilet, flooded a house in one place, and another place we.
Were you just curious, or were you...
just wild. I mean, you got to remember, you're growing up at 2, 3, and 4, 5 years old, and you're. You got nothing but a paper bag and some clothes.
You're a wild branch.
Yeah, you're running around crazy. Batman's your favorite character, the old Sock'em Pock'em Pow, the TV show, and you put on a.
Now, why would your father died? You know what the story was? Why?
My father evidently crashed out a sliding glass window, and he left us, and then so our mother
crashed out of what?
Sliding glass window in the trailer. I guess this is what I was told by my siblings. I met them I was 13, but they were all like, they were just.
So you lost your dad, and what about?
Well, no, he took off. Then the mom locked us up and left, and so we lived there. I think a couple of months by ourselves before our aunt found us.
This is horrible. This is up in the Carolinas.
Marion, North Carolina.
Marion.
Yep.
I used to sing in churches in Marion.
Yeah,
I
Marion,
used to
North
travel
Carolina.
and sing in churches.
So, but that's where it was.
It's a Baptist church up on a hill. Wish I knew where it was. Used to do
There's
that.
a lot of churches up in North Carolina.
There are.
So,
yeah.
yeah, a
The
bunch of
Carolinians always treated me nice too.
Yeah, can I tell you what? I mean, that's Billy Graham's, home state and home place. I mean,
Well,
he's
as
got
you
his
saw,
big
I interviewed
center.
Dr.
I know.
Graham.
I was very impressed by that.
Well, I told the Lord, I said, if you don't give me Billy Graham, I don't believe you've been in my life.
My mom loved Billy Graham.
Well, he was the most humblest, loving man. He had no agenda when we talked. He was there for me and for my audience.
He's the only one that's never had a blemish. If you think about all the different religious people and all the ones you said.
First of all, when he pulled up, we had just gone to Jeb's inauguration. And so me and his publicity agent, we ran over there. And he pulls up in a Ford, and there's another guy driving. He's in the front seat. He wouldn't drive in a limousine, none of that stuff, And here I am helping a 90-something-year-old Billy Graham, holding onto my shoulders as I have to walk him in.
Salt of the earth.
To the hotel, and it was down. They brought him in secretly through the maids, and so all the maids are there doing the washing machines going around the dryers, and all of a sudden he comes in, and they start crying. They like God walking in or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, Billy Graham's well known in Western North Carolina, actually in all the Carolinas. I mean, he's worldwide known. I mean, you say Billy Graham, and there's just nothing but purity.
He had an unusual humility. How do you? I think I'll wager a bet that at 22 he had more humility than I do at 72.
Guarantee you.
How do you get born with that? Because you were talking about going through troubles, and we only tend to grow in the valleys. It's written that Jesus was a man acquainted with many sorrows.
Right.
It's also written that he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. And I think this is what's missing in the churches today. This is my personal thing. Everybody wants to have a hallelujah party, and we went through that whole process. Now, if you give, you're going to get rich, and you got all these con artists on TV and stuff. And it's coming down to the reality that, if you really have favor with God, it even says so. Do you know what it's like to prune a tree?
Yes.
Okay, explain to the people how severe it is.
How severe is the prune a tree?
Yeah.
Well, it's almost mandated. You have to prune it, or else it's going to grow wild. You have to control the growth.
You prune it so extreme.
Right.
I remember my friend. She
take
had
it almost down to
orchards
the
or groves up in Ocala.
You're like
And
you're
she
going to
said,
kill it.
You always ask your neighbor farmer, to do the pruning because you won't do it severe enough. And you go, you killed my churches. Well, no, then it'll bring forth 100-fold. So, but here God promises, if you're faithful to Him, for every tree that beareth fruit shall be pruned, that it will have more fruit. They leave all this out today. Everybody's got a positive prophetic word instead of going, hey, straighten out or you're going to go home early. How about this, and what's going on here, what's going on? It's all this positive, which I'm into, the positive thinking stuff. Met Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, but I tell you what, our churches today, like you went through what you went through, I guarantee you, I don't know you from Adam, really. I'm still just getting to know you, but bet a stroke, and you had to learn how to walk again. You had to learn how to use your hand again. To learn how to talk again.
That was challenging. That was.
What is the fruition of that?
Even to put a screw on a bolt, you had to do that as one of your exercises. Then your other exercise was to prove that you can take a shower by yourself, because they had to be with you while you took a shower.
How was it to humble yourself? You said you couldn't go to the bathroom for a while by yourself. How embarrassing is that?
It is the epitome. As a man, you completely lose.
Oh, my
You're emasculated. It's where you almost
so a woman
you
comes
have
in, has
to
clean your butt.
You have to,
you have
to go on sertraline. You have to go on stuff that helps you with antidepressants.
You have to do what?
Antidepressants, because you're so depressed at that point in your life, because you're laying there in a bed going, okay, is this the rest of my life? And for a year, no work, so all that went to the wayside.
We get our gift in life is to give. We want to serve those we love. We want to go out and hunt and gather.
Right.
And when you can't do that, then what are you, right?
Yeah, what use are you? If you can't provide for your family. But luckily, I had done enough in the past that kept us afloat to be able to still live and not perish. But it was extremely challenging.
So what's the fruition of that? Going through that, looking back down that tunnel from the other side now.
It lets me know that, and no matter what everybody's facing, and I know there's so many things now with cancer and with people, having their own issues, that it's not insurmountable. It's something that is you take a positive look at it, even if your life changes a little bit, i.e., you've lost a limb, i.e., if something happens where you can't change back to the way you were, you're still going to be okay. You can make it, and you can still make a difference. You can still be a positive influence in the world. Versus, oh, poor me,
Pity
my life
party.
stinks, and and they only want to talk about how bad they feel. Not hey, how are you doing? And genuinely care about how you're doing, because most people go, hey, how you doing? And they're like, one ear out
But
the
aren't
other.
you amazed at nurses? See, I had my lungs collapsed when I was 21. Had major surgery. So these nurses were in because they didn't have ICU then. All day long. 8 hours with this one, 8 hours, and I realized the nurses are my heroes. I've never met a nurse. You know what I mean? So where they get that calling?
It's driven, I think, from the Lord, honestly, because my dad just passed away last year. He was in hospice at the VA, and those people absolutely are I can't say enough about hospice employees, because they're so there for you. They know what you're going through. They're empathetic. They take care of you, and that's just a giving that is just comes from deep within in their beliefs.
Yeah.
Same thing with law enforcement. You got to have a calling to be law enforcement. You got to have a calling to be a firefighter. You got to have a calling to
Average
serve your
officer
country.
dies at 54. They die much younger because of the stress, and people have no idea. And now there's a thing going around with this disrespect for the police officers.
Yeah, that's just it's hard for me to even fathom that.
I have no idea where this generation is coming from, but we cannot be lawless. We are a land of laws. And that's why they wonder about these people coming in here. They're illegal immigrants. Yes, we want immigrants.
Right.
America's
the
made
right
of
way.
immigrants.
Because there's a lot of people here that did it the right way, and they're fine.
Yeah. Our family from Ireland came here. Some of those Irish were indebted to work it off, economic slaves when they first came here.
Yeah, but see, growing up, if my dad ever heard of me standing in a law enforcement officer, number one, not doing what he asked me to do.
Yeah.
Get out of my car, do what I need to do. Yeah. Like blowing a whistle in the person's face this far from their nose.
I saw that on
and I'm going, my dad would roll over, because he would be like, first off, if an officer asks you to do anything, you do it.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
They represent the law.
It's real simple. Put your hands on the wheel. That's it. Do what you're told. When you don't do what they're told, you jump out of the car, you start screaming, you start doing this, then there's going to be repercussions. And people go, well, why? What's the big deal?
When I grew up, resisting arrest was against the law.
Yeah.
Technically, it
used to be, but now with all the media, they twist it and turn it. Now all of a sudden, they got their martyrs, and they got everybody else that just jumps on the bandwagon. And there's a lot of people that just want discord.
But you know what it is?
And they want
not only that,
stimulate that.
It's they actually think, first of all, somewhere they feel inferior. So what happens is, you can give me that. What is the thing is that it's called self-righteousness. Oh, I care more than you. I love everybody, no matter what they do. And what is love? Anyway.
Well, it's the interpretation of it too, because people build up what they want in their own mind, whether it be factual or not. In their mind, it is, and once again, perception is 100% rule. They feel like that's what it is, and that's their perception.
I'm better than
that's
you.
reality.
I know better than you. I'm smart. It's all air. It comes from that's why I believe it's demonic. It's a demonic attack.
I agree.
It's so blatant now with the devil rearing his head that there's no doubt.
Yeah, he's showing everywhere, though.
Aren't you a bit of an extremist talking about him? No, I'm sorry, but he's reared his head. The bad news is for him, he doesn't like to rear his head, because then his biggest ploy. I had an encounter after some men gave me a big check once to go up to Bill Gates' studio and do a recording of my music back when I was poor, living in the ghetto of Troy, New York. And these men gave me tens and tens of thousands of dollars to go up there and do a recording with an award-winning Grammy Christian recording producer. And so here I am in a $150 a month apartment. I'm poor. Didn't know how poor I was, I guess. Anyway, and then in the night, this thing was at the door of my bedroom, and it was clammy. It was inverted light. All I can do is tell you. And then I didn't even know the scriptures. I was newly born again. It says that Jesus said the devil is. Jesus said, if the light in you be dark, how great is that darkness? I can't explain it to you, but he twinkled his coat, but it was like inverted light. And then I fell out of my bed and it's yelling in another language, and that thing went and he left. Now, the lesson here is like, oh, there really is a bad guy. Even though I was born again, had a miraculous encounter with Jesus, you think, oh, come on, that's just come on, really, Well,
You got to remember, he's not going to fight for the ones he's got. He's going to fight for the ones he wants.
and he's not going to do stuff blatantly because then
it's going to be around the side, around the corner.
Yeah.
But he goes after people that he doesn't have and that he wants. That's where all that stuff sneaks into your life, i.e., the decision to do this or do that. You have that capability of making that decision, and you choose to go one way.
Now,
and
with your
justify
personality, I would think that you're in the copier business and all this other stuff, and you're very successful at it.
Yeah.
But I would think wherever you go, I'm presuming you bring up the name of the Lord somehow.
Matter of fact, it was so funny because we just had a ribbon cutting in Okeechobee for Mission United. I don't know if you know what they do, but they're all about veterans.
Mission United.
Yep, they're all about veterans. They're part of the United Way, and they opened up in Okeechobee, and they do veteran assistance and help all everything about vets. And they had their whole event and everything, and we were there. We took pictures and the whole gamut, cut the ribbon, went back inside, and I sat with the president and the vice president of United Way, and of course the heads of the group there. And I walked up to him and I said, the guy was running the place. I said, "Do you mind if I say a prayer for your business and you?" And he's like, "No, I think it'd be awesome." So everybody in the whole room bowed their heads, and I said a prayer over the people that were there, over the people they're going to help, over the business being there, and that it bless the business and make it flourish. And it was probably just the most awesome feeling in the world. And they gathered from it like, wow, yeah, we and people should stop and say thanks, and that you're able to open this up and that you're able to do this for it, and to continue the blessings for it. And right there in the middle of everybody stopped, and as soon as we were done, that you could just see like a new light in the group. Like, wow.
Well, they said it's a technique when you have a waitress or something, instead of proselytizing, just go, well, we're going to be saying a prayer before we eat this food. Anything you want us to pray for you about? And 99 out of 100 times,
absolutely,
they'll say, yes. Oh, my mom has got this. Or
yeah,
I'm sick,
yeah,
or
absolutely.
Sick, or...
Well, we just had one of our head technicians for our IT's division. He just had a stroke and a brain bleed.
How old?
He is 58 years old. He's in tradition right now, intubated.
And what does intubated mean?
Means he's got a tube going down to help him breathe and stay alive.
Yeah.
But I mean, his stroke was debilitating, meaning that when you have that and a brain bleed, there's typically going to be.
How do you avoid having a stroke?
A lot of it has to do with stress, because they told me my stroke was stress. Meaning there was so much stress in my body doing too much stuff and being stressed out so much. But typically, if you've had that at any point, or heart or whatever, they typically keep you on blood thinners so that nothing clots up, because that's what a stroke is. It's just a clot in one of the arteries. That's why a stroke caused. So blood thinners, i.e. aspirin, things of that nature, to keep your blood.
Any food you can eat to keep your blood?
I mean, you obviously want to eat. They want you to eat healthy and not be overweight, and the typical stuff. But if you've had a stroke, you're always susceptible for the rest of your life for strokes. I mean, that's just the way it goes. So you have to stay on the Lipitor.
Once you are. I don't get it.
Once you've had a stroke, because you're prone to it, meaning that your blood, your blood and body is prone to it anyway. Yeah. So they said you always got to be aware of it, because you might have TIAs, which is little mini strokes, which are small. You don't really realize, like, something happens and you lose this thing or do that thing or tics or whatever. But as long as you're on the blood thinners, it typically helps. And I think that was one of the things with him. He wasn't on the right blood thinners there. But now with a brain bleed, that's a whole nother thing, because that means one of the vessels burst or broke down.
The blood thinner did that, though, right?
No, it was just sometimes it just happens whenever you have a stroke, and it blocks up one and pushes against other veins.
They have to do brain surgery or what?
They had to go in and zero in and relieve the pressure of the brain, because the brain starts to swell. So they had to drill into it and do that as well. But that being said, it's like, and then of course we just lost one of our sales reps 2 months ago.
To what?
He had leg cramps on a Friday at a golf tournament. Saturday morning, they took him into the hospital, and he had 2 clots in both of his major arteries in his legs. So they went in and cleared out the clots and did all that stuff. And so the next day, they had to do a blood transfusion because he was bleeding. And then his organs shut down, and that Monday he passed away. 15 years with the company. He'd been with us.
Wow.
15 years.
How old?
And just that fast. I think he was 58. So, and I think it just empowers you and lets you know.
So you have to be careful.
Well, everybody does, you're not promised tomorrow. So you need to make sure you're right with everything and right with God today, and try to help other people be right with them too.
So do you have kids?
I do not. Never had the honor of having a child. I had step kids, and they call one of them, actually, I'm still in touch with. Her name's Jordan, She calls me her soul dad because she chose me to stay in her life even after we
How do you
divorced.
like that?
Pretty cool. She just had a little baby named Maya. So that was kind of neat. Yeah, because, I never had babies. So
Yeah.
having little Maya, here I'm a pop, and I'm like, So that was pretty slick. And it was pretty nice, too, because she chose to keep me in her life and, and calls me her soul dad. And even her dad knows that she calls me her soul dad, and he's cool with it, So I'm like, that's pretty neat. But yeah.
That's really good. Have you seen that new thing that they have now where they sit everybody into a room and they bring out the dogs? And I don't know how they communicate this, but the dogs get to pick out who they know they should be with.
Really?
Yeah, intuitively. And they
That's
come up.
pretty cool.
And of course, you're sitting there, and all of a sudden, this dog comes up and jumps right at you and stays right with you. You know they picked you, and people burst out crying because they're chosen.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
I've got an English bulldog named Diesel.
Oh, yeah.
And I've adopted
Diesel, huh?
Yeah, I've adopted 12 English bulldogs and seen them to the end of their lives because I always get the older ones and I take care of them until they pass away. But yeah, Diesel's pretty cool. And then of course my fiance, she has a German Shepherd and then 2 corgis. So
corgis, yeah, that's the one that the
Queen's
has.
dogs, yes,
Yeah.
little fluffy butts running
They look
around.
a little weird. My niece had one of those. I don't know.
They're just a fluffy dachshunds is what they are, but they're really cute dogs and they're sweet, but they bark a lot.
So like a balloon with little short legs.
Yeah, and their little, their little legs are small, and then their butts are real poofy. So when they run, they jiggle back and forth like a rabbit or something. I don't know. But Oso, I call him my special needs German Shepherd because he's just goofy. He just looks at you, and they don't bother nobody.
How many lives have dogs saved? Now, when you came here today, so what would your name is Sam? Sam, your last name is Brinkley.
See, Samuel's my name from birth, and actually means the chosen one in the Bible.
Really?
Yes, sir.
And you sell copiers, and you've done that for 40 years?
Every bit of it. Yeah. 40 years.
And so
I bled toner.
Now that's another thing too. I just bought a new copier, and so we tried to buy an off-market toner. It's not that the copier doesn't really accept it fully.
No.
And how much does it cost for a little container of toner? 50 cents, $1 maybe in China, and then you pay $55, $60, $70, $80 for toner.
We did a study on printer ink, liquid ink, and it is the same price as Dom Perignon or Chanel No. 5 by ounce, because that little cube is $40 to $50, and that's how much liquid you get in.
Right,
it.
we're being taken advantage of.
Yeah,
aren't we?
well, remember HP said we'll give you the printer, just buy the cartridges from us, razor blades, and then you can't get them anywhere else. And now they're starting to put shelf lives on the printers, cartridges. So if you keep them for too long, they expire. Now with the chips, so now you have to go buy them again. Or if you have 4 colors in your printer that you think, oh man, I got a great deal, let's pay $400 for this. Matter of fact, we just sold a copier, and our copiers, we include everything, so there's no purchase of toners and all that stuff. But
There's not?
No, but they bought the machine thinking they're doing really great, but then they're buying 2 sets of toners every month. A set of toners is $180, so they're spending $400 a month, but they got a free printer for $400 a month. For $200 a month, I can give you a copier, all service, on site, all supplies, all parts, all labor, for half of what you spend for that one sitting on the
And
desk.
you're not limited to the amount of copies you give me?
Well, we give you a certain number of copies, and then anything over that's a nickel. But if you go to Stinko's or go to UPS or whatever, think about it. They charge you. The other day, I'm Samazon, by the way. Hate to say that, but I am. I had to return it. Normally, it's a little QR code, but no. They wanted me to print a half a page black label. So I went to UPS, and they said, email it to us, and we'll print it back here. So we went back here and printed, brought back up $4.50 for a half page piece of paper to lay on my box. And I was like, for what? She goes, well, we had to pull up the email and print it. And I said, Lord have mercy. I said, I'm in the wrong business. So you guys are making a killing. But that people don't realize is at UPS and Stinko's, they'll charge you 25 cents, 40 cents per color. And we're talking about a nickel.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about 2400 DPI. You saw the quality of it.
Now, by the way, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's your phone number?
Mine's 561-889-0496, and it's Sam Brinkley. And you also can find me Sammy Brinkley on Facebook.
Sam Brinkley.
Yeah, Sammy. Actually,
Sammy.
For whatever reason, it's my high
So
school.
on the Facebook, you're Sammy.
Sammy Brinkley.
Sammy.
Yep.
Brinkley.
And I'm out of Port St. Lucie, but but then the thing about it, you saw the quality that I showed you when we were at the clergy meeting. It's insane how good the quality is. And then that's 2400 DPI. If people buy these inkjets, if you take an inkjet page off a printer, lick your thumb, do like this, it smears all the way off the page
Mm.
because it never dries
Mm.
ever. But our toner is fused toner, like it's high
Permanent?
quality. Yeah, it's permanent.
Wow.
So, and you feed the variable stocks and all that stuff too. So,
Oh, you really know the business.
well, Lord have mercy. It's like anything else. You get experience, and experience teaches everything. And then no matter what you do.
Yeah, but
just-
for a little business like this, you're not going to spend $200 a month.
no, for one like this, you'd probably spend $40-$50, and you get a machine that would do card stock like you saw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like this. Like
Yeah,
this.
we hardly use it, but you know.
Well, I know. It's when you get to it. I mean,
Price
and that's one
sheets
thing I
or
tell people too. I say, listen, I said, if you don't need it, I'm not going to sell it to you.
No.
I'm never going to tell anybody they need something if they don't need it because it doesn't do me any good. You know,
Isn't that the day that a salesperson really grows up to become a pro? The day they won't stay inside. No, I could sell this person. I know I could close the deal, but you realize we don't have what you really need.
well, and I've had guys come up to me in my business group because they just want to buy from me and they say, hey, set me up with a copy. And I go, you just opened your business. Go buy a machine, do your onesies, twosies at the office. When it gets to a certain point, we'll talk. I said, but don't do that. You don't
I have
want
a
to.
friend that sells Mazdas, I think they're down in Palm Beach, and he's the number one guy, salesman. So I stop by on a Saturday, and we're talking. Some guy comes up who was a customer of his, and they start talking. So I said, I got to go relieve myself. I'll go to the men's room. I'll be back. I come back. The other guy's driving off. And the guy said he wanted to buy today, and this is the car he wanted. He said, well, I said it wouldn't be advantageous to him at this time to do it, come back in, a month or two, whatever it was. I said, he was ready to sign. He said, yeah, I know, but I won't sell something to somebody. It's not the right time for them. And it seems like people with integrity ultimately draw more success.
And can I tell you what, though? And I tell this to every single person in business, not every customer is a good customer for you. Because I've had customers that you break your back for,
Oh, yeah.
and you make
Eat up
nothing on
80%
them,
of your time.
and then they do nothing but complain. And so a customer's not always a good customer, and that's what you got to remember. You got to make sure the relationship works together, that you're partners, that you're business partners.
Yeah.
So
I remember a few years ago, the man's not alive anymore. He gave us a check for thousands and thousands of dollars. And my wife just said, take the check back. Give him his money back.
But then that's how you do. That's what you have when you have morals. So you don't want to just get the deal and get the deal today.
Yeah, I got
It's like-
complaining day and night and day.
Yeah, but why? It's not worth the agita. I mean, for the little money you're going to make on it. Mm-mm. I had a preacher we met with the other day. One of my reps taking him to him, and this guy, knows how the cow ate the cabbage. Man, he knew everything about everything. I know about rates. I know about copiers. He had a 6-year-old Toshiba sitting in his closet in there, printing like garbage as people want me to come in. By the time he finished talking, I said, Pastor, I said, stop right there. He said, what? I said, I'm not your guy. I'm not the guy that's going to come in here and give you a used machine and sell you garbage quality. I said, I'm not. I said, if that's what you're looking for, it's okay. It's good. There's different structure. That's why there's chocolate vanilla. So you do your thing and, let us know down the road. Wait. And I said, no, Pastor. I said, we don't need to do business. I said, it's okay. I said, what you're looking for is not what we're about. We're about good image. We're about good price, good cost, being effective, but making sure you represent yourself out there in a good way. And by the time I finished, he was like, oh, give me price on this, price on this, run from the dog, as they
They
say.
wanted to buy it back from you.
Well, it's just like because he thought he knew everything. It was like, man, I've been doing this for so long. There's not a word or something you can say about copiers that I wouldn't already have the answer because
Cool.
I've done it. I've made the mistakes. You get a question somebody asks you that you don't know. I always tell them I don't know, but I'll find out.
Yeah.
And I promise the next time somebody asks that question, that answer is going to be right here because I've been asked before.
I've never ran into somebody who was so enthusiastic about copies.
I know, right? Like, dude, you got a life. You're talking about copiers like it's showbiz. But I enjoy it though, and I
It's
enjoy
your vehicle for meeting people.
I enjoy
working
helping
with
people and becoming partners. That's one of the reasons why I have some of the major law firms, and I do all of their 4 locations, and I have 80, 90 machines in their locations because they trust me. I do all of their printers. They have 80 to 90 printers, and I have a printer
80 to
management.
90.
Yeah, they have printers everywhere. And what I do is I give them the printers, give them one flat rate. They pay the one flat rate. If the printer breaks for the entire term of the contract, they get a brand new one. We have software that automatically tracks every printer, orders toner for them, automatically service on site, so we come and take care of it, and it manages their entire location with nobody involved. Can you imagine that? Because you know what we found? We found that they were buying from 7 different locations to buy toner for the 15 different types of machines they had in their location.
my word.
So now all of a sudden they're buying from Staples, they're buying from Amazon. When we replaced all the units, we had found over $3,500 worth of hidden toner in desk of secretaries because they didn't want to run out. So they would go to the closet, take it, stick it in their thing, and so they would order more. So they were ordering all this toner for no reason. They didn't have a good idea of where the prints were being made. So now we can track every color print, every black and white print from every single desktop.
Crazy.
And it's great because
Well, listen, we're out of time for today, but I want to thank you for coming in. Again,
Thanks
what's your
for the
phone
invite.
number?
It's 561-889-0496. It's Source One Solutions.
Source One Solutions.
Right, we're Sharp, so we do Sharp products. But I mean, we cover all the way up in Lake Park.
Where's that?
It's down right above, or I say right below Jupiter. I'd say right above West Palm. That's where our warehouse and stuff is. But we have, I mean, guys that live in Port St. Lucie, Melbourne, or Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, Bureau, and all that as well.
So people don't come in to see you in office.
Oh no! They just call us and we come to you and take care of it.
Your office is your vehicle.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Well, I mean, most of the time it's good to go in people's areas and see what they're trying to do because then you can gauge what they really want to accomplish.
Yeah.
You know, because they say, well, I need a copier. Well, do you really need color or do you not need color? Or what are you doing? And you sit down and assess and ask a few questions so that you can best give them a good decision.
All right. So again, your phone number is
561-889-0496. Also, if you want to talk, just about the Lord, my testimony, or if you're going through some tough stuff or whatever, don't hesitate. Call me, because I'd be happy to talk to you and then share my experience with you and let you know, hey, you're not alone out there. So just keep your chin up and just know that God's there for you. You'll look back and see where He was, but right now you may not see it.
All right, Sam Brinkley, thanks for coming in. Appreciate you driving up here.
Have a blessed day.
Hey, it's a new day if you want it to be. I'm Red Palmer.